TheWrestling, Mark, and before we get down to business, I want to make a couple of announcements first. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Martin White II, one of our most dedicated viewers here on TheWrestling. Mark made some really great comments on email and social media. Big shout out to you. Love to see that people are tuning into this show and catching on to the Mark, and look forward to any comments that any of you want to leave, either on social media or via the YouTube posts or email, any way you see fit. The other thing is that while most of these videos that I put on now as TheWrestling Mark are relatively spontaneous, and by spontaneous I mean I don't film these usually until sometime right after Monday Night Raw airs each week, and still gets them put up in time before SmackDown. So I do have this kind of spur of the moment. Most of these are recorded, but eventually there will be some episodes that will be pre-recorded further in advance to give some more specific subjects I want to talk about. Anytime I make one of those videos, they're going to be available first to anyone who contributes to Rowdy C's Patreon. So even if you donate just $1 to Rowdy C's Patreon, you can include possibly future episodes of TheWrestling Mark included as part of, they'll be uploaded in advance as part of your monthly donation. Hopefully now Rowdy will get off my case while trying to help plug his Patreon now that I've gotten that taken care of. So anyway, down on to business, and it's the biggest party of the summer coming up. It's the Midsummer Classic, the Mid-Season Classic for WWE in form of Summerslam. And so far, this is one Summerslam I'm not getting very hyped up for. I mean, I guess you're thinking that's not very surprising to me. After everything I've talked about in this new direction, new era that WWE is going for, pandering to the smarks, catering to the IWC. But let's talk about these matches, what they're going in. First off, there's the creation on Raw of the Universal Championship. This I actually like. I like the fact that, while I was more in favor of hopefully making all of the championships non-exclusive to any brand so they could be won by anyone on any show, thus negating the need for a second world championship, I'm at least glad they created something that's going to be separate from the world title. As I may have mentioned this last week, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But yeah, creating something that didn't have to result in them having to bring back the big gold belt and everything. You need to move on from that. But, so at least they created that, and we now know that the main event for Raw at SummerSlam for the new Universal Championship will be Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. And so far I'm not seeing a lot. I mean, I just saw Monday Night Raw a few hours ago, and it was, of course, Balor and Rollins in the ring, and Balor's not giving me anything. I'm sorry, just, it's a standard promo he was giving that, yeah, I know I'm the underdog, but I've wrestled all the way around the world, and I've seen people like Seth Rollins all the time, and I'm gonna beat the odds, and I'm gonna beat you. And it's just generic. Finn Balor has no personality. I'm sorry to say this, he's got less personality than Roman Reigns, even. But because he's an indie darling, because he wrestles all the way around the world, he can get away with having no personality because the IWC just sees something in him. And it's really bad when Seth Rollins so far is giving me more reason to cheer. And you know, I don't want to cheer that guy. One, because he's a heel. He's supposed to be booed. I'm trying to do that. But also the time because the IWC loves him just because his character is an absolute asshole. But when he's the one showing any much of a personality and making jokes about the Atlanta Braves and the Ghostbusters movie, and he's the one actually showing charisma, it's not doing a good job to making me want to boo this guy, you've got to give the babyface a reason. He's got to give me a reason to want to see me beat the heel. He's got to give me a reason for why I want to see Balor beat Rollins, and so far I'm not getting anything for it. And I'd hoped that, there's one way you could make this work, is that at SummerSlam, say you had something where Roman Reigns would turn heel and help Rollins beat Balor and reform the Shield. And then you could balance that out by having Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows turn face, join up with Finn, reform the Balor Club. You'd have something there. You'd have a storyline to go on. Fortunately, it pretty much seems like already that's not going to happen because, one, not only are they putting Roman Reigns in a battle with Rusev for the United States Championship, and I'll get to that in a later episode. I want to wait a week or so to see where they go with that before I talk about that. But not only that, but for those not aware, it's been reported that WWE has officially relinquished its copyright on the Balor Club name. So, looks like there's no chance of the Balor Club being reinstated. So far, there's just not a storyline to go for me wanting to have anything vested in this match. But worst of all, there's less to pull in the SmackDown main event. The battle for the WWE World Championship is Dean Ambrose defending the title against Dolph Ziggler. I mean, first off, I wasn't surprised at all that Ziggler won the match for the main event. The promo he put on SmackDown just gave me a feeling he was going to win. But even still, this doesn't make any sense. You can pit two baby faces against one another for a championship. It can work. One of my favorite matches from the Ruthless Aggression era was when John Cena was in a triple threat against Shawn Michaels and Triple H. That worked because of the personalities of the two, but this doesn't work because Dean Ambrose is the highlight, the anchor, the staple of his character. What makes him work is getting under the skin of whoever he's facing. You've got to have a real arrogant jackass heel for the most part against this guy. A guy like a Chris Jericho that Ambrose can come in and just start messing with his mind, doing the whole crazy like a fox routine. Like when Ambrose and Jericho squared off and Ambrose essentially, took over Jericho's highlight reel show. That made it a feud that was compelling and was worth turning into. You can't do that when Ambrose is going up against another babyface. And again, it seems like the only reason this match is happening is because the IWC wants to see Dolph Ziggler get a chance. And there's no good payoff to this match. You're either going to take the belt off of Dean Ambrose just a couple of months after he got it and waste that opportunity, or you're going to screw a guy like Ziggler out of a title shot again. He's going to lose once more, and they're going to complain about that. I don't see how this match is going to do anything, and even the women's title match is going to be at SummerSlam. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the women's title. That could be a great match, except they spit the bit by having Sasha take the title off of Charlotte a week ago. That again, it seemed like a knee-jerk reaction to the very first pay-per-view after Battleground. WWE wanted to show the IWC they were catering to them and put the belt on their beloved Sasha Banks as soon as possible. It's a wasted opportunity there, and I heard that supposedly the reason was that Charlotte wants to take time off, but if that's the case, why was she on Raw this past night and in a match, a tag match of her and Jericho against Sasha and Enzo? It just doesn't add up, and that's why I'm thinking there's just too many knee-jerk reactions, and it's leading to a bunch of matches at Summerslam that they're not that compelling to watch. The only match that's really becoming compelling to me is Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. And again, that's because of the promos that are being cut so far. First off, you had you had Orton on the highlight reel at Battleground. That was the start of it. And then this past night on Raw, in comes Lesnar, and of course, that means Paul Heyman's back. And hey, one thing I'll agree with the IWC on, Paul Heyman is awesome. I want him on TV more. I want him to have more wrestlers. I want him to be the next Bobby Heenan. I just think that if he had been the exact same character and originated in WWE and not ECW, the internet would hate him. But beyond that, that was probably one of the best promos I've seen in a while, because how it works is you get the camera close-ups of the guy and you just allow Heyman to go on and on with his talking and his promo, but he's so good at it that it draws you in and it just practically hypnotizes you, so that when Orton comes out and delivers RKO out of nowhere, it comes off as such a shock. And that's when you really see that, bam, it's not gonna just be about war of words between these two guys on separate shows. They're gonna get in each other's business in these weeks leading up to SummerSlam. And it's gonna, and that kind of helps the whole Raw versus SmackDown rivalry, because you've saw that Foley and Stephanie don't want to see Orton there, so you have to figure tonight on SmackDown that Shane and Bryan are gonna be at the edge of their seat trying to worry that Lesnar's gonna invade their show. That's gonna add more to the compelling battle of this rivalry between Raw and SmackDown. This is something that is, this is something they're getting right. The mid-card matches that they're doing now, that and of course stuff like what the New Day does with Gallows and Anderson, this is one of the places where it's working. WWE isn't a complete disaster right now, but the problem is in their main events. They're just putting wrestlers out there and letting them put on faux matches. I'm sorry to say that. You're gonna hear me say the words fake fight a lot probably on this show. But it's the best thing I can do, because you just have to get it nailed in sometimes, that you can't be compelled to want to watch these matches and want to see a winner when you know that the finish of the match is preordained and everything in between is choreographed. As someone who knows a lot of people who watch actual competitive sports, if you don't have the personalities, if you don't show the battles and hatred between those two and give their personalities, show you a reason to want to see one win over the other, and not just the fact that, oh, they're supposedly the best athlete. They're not the best athlete. It doesn't prove to be the best athlete when the finish is scripted. I mean, all I can do is hope is that this is temporary for WWE. That they're only catering to the IWC in this format now because they haven't found the next big superstar yet. They haven't found the John Cena, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan type who can cross over and appeal to the mainstream. So I'll hopefully just, I'll probably have more to talk about at SummerSlam in the next weeks, and just try to keep my eyes open for that guy who could get them out of this slump. I'm still wanting to hear back from someone. Give a shout out to my boy Duke CT of the Duke CT Lounge. Check out his podcasts, whatever you can, because he talks wrestling all the time. They have to check with him to see how Raw's ratings are doing, because I'm willing to bet they aren't skyrocketing back up to the 4s and 5s like the smarts want to believe. But until then, all I can do is hope for the best, that they'll get through SummerSlam and then try to start building something in the months ahead. Until next time, I'm the Wrestling Mark.